afternoon to distinguished panelists, esteemed colleagues, and dear participants. So it's my great pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar on Faculty Internationalization, Challenges and Opportunities, hosted by the Confederation of Indian Private Universities. So as the global landscape of higher education continues to evolve, faculty internationalization stands as one of the most pivotal factors in shaping the future of academic excellence. So it not only expands the horizons of our faculty members, but also enriches our institutions and students with global perspectives and cross-cultural insights. So yet, as we embark on this journey, we must navigate both the challenges and the immense opportunities that come with the international collaboration. And today we have the privilege of hearing from a distinguished panel of academic leaders. Their insights will undoubtedly inspire us to rethink strategies, innovate, and build stronger, more interconnected academic communities. So before we begin, a brief introduction about our speakers for the day. So let me start with the session moderator, Professor Dr. Sandeep Sancheti. Dr. Sancheti is an institution builder, policy planner, regular columnist on various academic policies. He holds a PhD from Queen's University of Belfast, UK, MSc Engineering from DTU Delhi, and BTech from NIT Warangal. He's currently the Vice President, Research Relations and Academic Ambassador, Elsevier, India. He's also serving or served many professional bodies like CII, FICCI, EPSI, AIU, DST, CSIR, DRDO, and many more in different capacities. And he was a member of the Court and Council of Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, as well as a member of the Board Senate of many other academic institutions. In addition, he was on various national level committees of Ministry of Education, which was earlier Ministry of HRD, UGC, AICTE, and AIU for education-related matters. And he has been a part of several Indian delegations abroad. Was also invited to address the members of Parliament, Government of India on education matters. So formally, Dr. Sancheti headed 7 NITs, like NIT Surathkal, NIT Trichy, NIT Calicut, NIT Delhi, and even School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi as director. He has also led self-financed institutions like Manipal University, Jaipur as president, SRM University, Chennai as vice chancellor, and Marwadi University, Rajkot as provost. He is the recipient of the Commonwealth Scholarship and Fellowship under Colombo Plan. He was the visiting faculty at Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok. So he is the past president of the Association of Indian Universities, New Delhi, the former executive council member of the Association of Commonwealth Universities, London. First panelist for the day is Professor P.B. Sharma. You'll be joining us in a while. So Professor P.B. Sharma is currently the Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Gurgaon, and has previously served as the founder Vice Chancellor of Delhi Technological University and Rajiv Gandhi Pradyogiki Vishwavidyalaya. Professor Sharma is a former professor of IIT Delhi and has been the president of Engineering Science Division of Indian Science Congress, Vice Chairman of World Confederation of Productivity Sciences India Section, member Central Advisory Board of Education, CAB of Government of India, and the president of the Association of Indian Universities. And Professor Sharma has made significant contributions to interdisciplinary engineering, renewable energy, and innovation management over his 53-year career. Professor Sharma holds honorary doctorates from the University of Birmingham and Dr. K. Modi University and is recognized for his contributions to national policy and cutting-edge research. The next panelist for the day is Professor Dr. Priyankar Upadhyaya. He is a renowned academic and a peace advocate, currently holding the UNESCO Chair for Peace at Banaras Hindu University and serving as a distinguished professor at MIT World Peace University, Pune. So he is a nominated member of the UNESCO Unit 1 Executive Committee for Interreligious Dialogue and Intercultural Understanding and has held prestigious fellowships, including the Global Fellowship of Oslo's Peace Research Institute. And Professor Upadhyaya has also served as visiting professor at institutions such as the Henry L. Stimson Center, the United Nations University for Peace. He has led numerous transnational research projects and institutional collaborations and has published extensively in renowned academic journals. His acclaimed works include Peace and Conflict, South Asian Experience, and Long Walk of Peace towards the Culture of Prevention. So the next panelist is Professor Dr. N.J. Pawar, who is a distinguished academician and a researcher in the fields of geology, hydrogeology, and environmental geochemistry. He holds a PhD in geology from the University of Pune. He has had a remarkable academic career spanning over 35 years. Professor Pawar served as the Vice Chancellor of Shivaji University, Kolhapur, and later as the Vice Chancellor of Dr. D.Y. Patil Vidyapith from 2019 onwards. And he has contributed extensively to research, publishing over 100 papers and guiding 18 PhD students. His work includes editing research volumes and translating science books and popularizing scientific knowledge. And finally, the next speaker for the day, the panelist for the day, is Dr. Manish Jain, who is the chairman and founder CEO of Indus Business Academy, Bengaluru. And he has managerial experience at Micro and Tata IBM, and is also presently the Director of Business Development of MUHEPL. And he was the nominee of Jewel of India 2002 award and the recipient of Rashtriya Shiksha Samman Puraskar 2003 by Indian Economic Development and Research Association for his contributions to quality higher education. He received Distinguished Service Award at IIM Ahmedabad for his contribution of developing management education in India. He has also been recognized as one among the 100 visionaries of India by Next Brands and ET Now. He has also been invited by ET Now to be a part of its talk show, Brand India Vision 2020. Was also recognized as Education Evangelist 2019. So a warm welcome to all the distinguished panelists, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation and for being here. So for the next 1 hour, you'll be listening to all the distinguished panelists, and in case if the participants have any specific questions at the end of the session, in case if we have time, maybe we can take up a few questions. Meanwhile, you can also post your questions in the chat box. Thank you so much, and over to Dr. Sandeep Sancheti.
Thank you, Mr. Karthik, for a nice introduction and setting the tones. Thanks to CIPU for this invitation to all of us to deliberate on a very important topic of internationalization of faculty, which is generally not so much focused upon. I welcome all the distinguished experts, the panelists, Professor P.B. Sharma, Professor Priyankar Upadhyay, Professor N.J. Pawar, and Professor Manish Jain, and also all the distinguished participants who have joined this. Good afternoon and welcome. Friends, we know that there's a lot happening in Indian higher education in recent times, and particularly last 1 week, when the new guidelines or proposed guidelines, draft guidelines have come about faculty. Of course, we don't have time, and we didn't know that this will be coming in between our announcement and the webinar. So we'll not be dwelling upon that much, but we will focus ourselves on an aspect of what you call internationalization of faculty. I'll initially set the tone by putting few points, and then I'll be requesting all the distinguished panelists to speak for 5 minutes each. And then there'll be some points from my side, and then there'll be some Q&A. So friends, we know internationalization of education is a process of integrating diverse global dimensions into the process of education delivery. Because we know that the world is shrinking. We sometimes call it global village. Many of us tend to go abroad very often, and many of our young generational students easily get the jobs outside India, and there is a lot of scope available. So in that case, we need to equip them with what you call the features of internationalization. Some of the ways can be that we can keep deputing them there. Some of the ways can be that we can keep calling the international people around here to get them exposed and all that. So a lot is happening in the students' domain. We also know that large number of students of Indian origin tend to go to USA or Canada or UK or Australia. We are probably number 1 or 2 in each of these countries in terms of outside students, international students. And of course, we are doing well, but at a much higher cost to the country financially, or maybe otherwise also. There is no direct measure for that. But there can be some alternatives by which we can mitigate that. There can be some alternatives by which we can improve upon that, that internationalization, can it be done at home? So when it can be done at home, then obviously there are again 2 processes. One is the student related, that the students flock from outside countries in big numbers in India, which anyway government is trying, but still limited. EDSIL-like agencies, DASA-like schemes, or ICC are doing something, but they are yielding some results, but not necessarily in big numbers. And when it comes to some specialized research efforts in that direction, only few select institutions have been able to do, not in general. So we'll not focus much on the students related thing. We'll now come to the faculty related thing. A faculty which has a multiplying ratio of 1:15 to 20 in general, a faculty can be equipped with what you call the aspects of internationalization, I personally believe that 15 to 20 students directly can be influenced, going by the same faculty-student ratio. And therefore, this webinar, we are focusing on that. In my opinion, faculty's internationalization, if I may say so, can be through 3 or 4 different methods. Number one would be that we recruit faculty of international nature, in the sense they are residents of different countries and they've studied in different countries, but the cost can be very high, legalities can be very many, and maybe our ecosystem, the social structure or the other structures may not support them. And that's the reason why you don't find too many foreign quality faculty coming to India for a long-term thing. So number one is calling the faculty from outside and employing them. I have tried it myself in some of the institutions where I have worked. I would say that there were lots of challenges which we faced with that. The second thing could be that we can send our faculty for a tenure of 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, whatever, regularly in a select basis, 5%, 2%, and then expose them to those practices. So that can be a second method. The third method could be we can employ people which whatever origin they have, who have been exposed to international education, have done postdocs, have done PhD degrees there, or have been working there for whatever reason. That can be the third avenue. And the fourth avenue for internationalization of faculty could be that we are making them aggressively working on projects. So they keep back and forth, moving back and forth. So there are many, many techniques by which one can possibly say that internationalization of faculty can be done. And we are focusing purely on this, purely because this has a much better multiplying factor, much better esteem for the faculty, much better recognition, and maybe in certain cases, financial rewards can also be better. And maybe as an India or India contributing to those domains, we will also enhance the value proposition of what India does to the world. So in all this, proposition of faculty internationalization can bring a little better returns when it comes to academic quality. It can bring a little better returns to what you call international orientation, because the students will gain from that. They'll get employed and so on and so forth. The third thing could be that there can be much more diversity or multidisciplinarity or various other approaches, whatever you can say, in teaching, learning, and in subjects and in courses which we offer, and the way in which we offer or how we deliver. There can be a little bit of more self-actualization. I would say that when I was a young faculty, I didn't have much of self-belief. I was working in India. Having gone outside for some time, I got exposed. I started believing that we are not second to anyone. We self-actualization, which is there, because then we tend to know their culture, style, methodologies, academic settings, and research settings, and various things which are there. And to some extent, it can also yield indirectly financial and other professional benefits. So there are many things which I believe would be beneficial to what you call beneficial through what you call the faculty internationalization. It will be multiplying effect, and it is with this intent we would like to know the views from whatever they have learned, gained, or implemented a little bit in their own domain from all the experts. And I'll request all of them to initially limit their comment for 5 minutes, and then I'll probably raise some pointers for you in terms of what are the direct benefits, why is it not happening, and what would be your specific recommendations. So it, depending upon the time in questions, I'll either selectively place it to you, but certainly in the end, I'll request all of you to give your recommendations that how do we promote faculty internationalization. So this is something, a sub point from the overall aspect of internationalization, which we have picked, but we believe it can be a little game changer and can be doable by the respective managements, because there is an aura around internationalization. And especially when international institutions have started coming to India, we should also know that how to compete with them. If they claim that their faculty has an X factor of this nature, can we also counter it that, hey, Indian institutions are no different? So it is with this aim we are going ahead. So may I now request Professor P.B. Sharma Sahab, my distinguished senior and of course the former AIU president, to kindly share his views. Professor Sharma Sahab, welcome.
First of all, thank you so much indeed, Professor Sancheti and Mr. Karthik, for putting us together in this great panel to discuss something so important for a nation like ours. And I feel so delighted to be with you. Professor Sancheti has already set the scene right. My mind goes to my own thinking when I went to University of Birmingham myself in the 70s for my master's and doctorate. I was so happy to see that they have faculty from whole of the world present in the university, not restricted only to England or United Kingdom. And I was amazed because I was educated in Madhya Pradesh where all the faculty members were only from India. But when I went there, I found that the university has faculty from all over the world. And people from all over the world were also coming for master's and doctorate degree to the university. So I got the glimpses and realized that yes, international faculty, the very best one coming from anywhere in the world, must be welcome in a university. They could afford to do it at that time. Today in India, we are in a highly opportune time to think ahead and think in terms of attracting the highly talented quality people from anywhere in the world to come and work in our universities and institutions of higher learning so that India of tomorrow, the India of our dream that requires, in fact, the universities to play a very major role, not only in terms of manpower development, but also in terms of cutting edge science and technology innovations and scientific research of the kind that we want to see rolling out from our universities requires a paradigm shift, in my opinion, in our approach to building faculty eminence in our universities. Having said this, let me also say that in India too, when IITs were set up, where I worked for 12 years, and Dr. Sancheti knows very well, despite the fact that they are called Indian Institutes of Technology, each of the institution was in fact right in the beginning for the first 10 years or so, or even more, had international faculty working in these institutions, laying the foundation and groundwork, creating the ecosystem for quality education and research. And that has come, in fact, very handy for the further development of our IIT. And today IITs, of course, stand very tall in the country. So we have experience, in fact, in our own country of understanding the importance of how quality international faculty can contribute to the growth of an institution and transform it into an institution of eminence like the IITs and triple IITs, even NITs, which were regional engineering colleges. They also had international faculty for the first 10 years or more. My own institution, which I headed, Delhi College of Engineering, was, of course, had international faculty in the beginning, and that laid the foundation and ecosystem for quality manpower development. Till date, we remain really in the limelight because of our focused attention to quality of manpower as well as quality of research innovation. So the context in which we need to now appreciate and understand the importance of international faculty cannot be over-echoed. Important thing is what can be done today. My judgment is that we need to now also understand that inducting people in faculty straight away after PhD or straight away as assistant professor, like we have been doing in our universities in the past, in my opinion, is not the right thing to do. If you look at the best universities of the world, you find that they induct people initially as postdoctoral fellows. And for 3-4 years, when you demonstrate your research acumen and your quality focus on quality of research, and also they induct you in teaching also during that period. And then after assessing your capabilities of teaching and research, finally a person is absorbed from outside as a faculty member. Why not today Indian universities, including the private universities, including mine, where I'm speaking from, think in terms of opening our doors for postdoctoral fellowships for foreign students, highly talented foreign students who have completed their doctoral degree in good universities abroad, and invite them to come and work in our universities. And gradually, some of them could be absorbed actually as international faculty. I'm sure the government would be open for postdoctoral fellowship kind of ventures. And this will help us also to revitalize the research and development in our universities, which today forms a very important part. Having said that, let me also say that we can also think in terms of what Dr. Sancheti has said, that when we sign a MOU for collaboration and cooperation with a foreign university, which we all do, and each one of our universities today may have good number of MOUs in action, why not we think in terms of building a layer by which their faculty comes and spend short time at our university, also connect to us online for a variety of purposes, including joint guidance of a doctoral degree, co-investigator of a project which we have submitted, and also partner in progress in conceptualizing the new courses, new development of our university, even participating in the brainstorming on putting the strategic plan and future plans for the university. Whole lot of such collaborative arrangement with the very best people abroad with whom we are signing our MOU today could be of great value, in my opinion, building up, in fact, that vital groundwork which will lay the foundation for a time when India would have more and more foreign faculty in our university. But let me finish by saying that the cause of internationalization cannot be achieved, in my opinion, in our Indian universities, merely looking at foreign students to come and stay in our university. That, of course, is highly desirable. We need to continue to work and market our higher education abroad. But simultaneously, we need to build up the ecosystem by which internationalization at home, including our curriculum, our overall academic environment, the research environment, becomes conducive to the requirement of internationalization at home. Let people from abroad who come here feel that, yes, here is the vibrancy of a world-class research center. Here is a vibrancy of a ecosystem of research and innovation, which is very much similar to ours that we do there. And by doing this, I'm sure we will be able to create the vital intensity as well as urge in our mind and our thoughts to facilitate the internationalization tomorrow for our faculty. But I'm for it. As far as I'm concerned, the government of India should today think in terms of more generously, thinking in terms of building up the foreign faculty, should not be restricted only to the IITs, for which they have taken already a decision, I'm sure, at the national level. Let it be open to all universities who can afford to have good quality faculty from outside. But if that, without waiting for that, we can definitely begin by inducting foreign faculty as postdoctoral fellows and then building up their competence and finally absorbing them as regular teachers. These are some of the thoughts I had initially. I'm sure we could take them as adjunct faculty. We can take them, involve them in a whole lot of international online work that we do today. People are open today. In my opinion, there are a whole lot of Indians also who have settled abroad, who may be desirous to connect to our universities, and we can facilitate that also. So a lot of these things are possible. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to more valuable suggestions from my other panelists, which I have. And I'm so happy to see Professor Upadhyay, Dr. Parmar, Dr. Manish Jain, and Dr. Sancheti, of course, in this panel. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sharma. Very nicely captured many important points. International faculty at IITs, to begin with, seeded the institutions in a different way, a very good example to quote, and very nicely said that the faculty's eminence can relate or lead to an institutional eminence. I know as a young student, when I was doing my engineering or other courses, we used to look at iconic faculty, that can we get their classes, can we do project and seminars with them. So yes, faculty, a good quality faculty and exposed faculty is a dream for everyone. And I'm sure India will be on that path to improve the faculty and internationalization. So thank you so much. I will now invite Professor Priyankar Upadhyay Saab, who again has a lot of international exposure currently as well as erstwhile. What do you think, sir, in terms of faculty's internationalization in India?
First of all, I am very delighted that the CIPU, or Confederation of Indian Private Universities, have taken up this particular important theme for discussion. And I hope this is just a beginning, because we have to travel a long way. And that's the sense that I have. And as you probably mentioned in passing that, well, I have very kind of diverse experience of working and teaching in all different universities in North America and in Europe, and of course in my own Banaras Hindu University, where I was closely connected with this challenge of internationalization of faculty, especially faculty, because there's also a tendency to not to see this in a more holistic manner, that we somehow distinguish between the students going abroad or foreign students coming here and the faculty exchanges. But I think they're all interrelated. But as I said, that there is so much to share with my kind of work, that past 15 years I'm working with UNESCO as the chair. And one thing which I would like to start with is this, and which was very beautifully mentioned, Professor Sancheti, in your own short note that was circulated to us, the mention of UNESCO. I mean, what we need to reckon with is the fact that this internationalization of faculty is not about simply research, simply about attracting students or credential. It is about living together. I mean, one of the reports, and I'm very sure that it's not very popular in this country at least, but it's an international document, the Dolores Report of 1996, The Treasure Within, which which kind of sums up the ethos of education, what education is all about. And it does talk about learning to know, learning to do, and more importantly, learning to live together. And this living together is a kind of culture which fortunately Professor Sancheti did mention in his initial lining. So I really welcome you for introducing me. See, the important thing is that today, whether we want or not, the internationalization is another part of, a beautiful part of globalization. I mean, globalization has a lot of political issues, but we can't stop this process of internationalization. Now, how India participates in this process is something that we have to really make a strong note of. And I'm afraid, and I'm very sorry to say this, that the Indian universities have not well at all. I mean, I have been a part of Banaras Hindu University, and I have seen this IOE things coming in, and there's so much of focus for the exchange of faculties, of sending our faculties on our money. But still, I think there is a gap between what we call the rhetoric and reality. And the reality is that our scorecard is very poor. I mean, part of it, I mean, all of you have been vice chancellor or leaders of academic community, is the question of governance. We plan so many things, but the execution part is we just take one example, sad example, or maybe inspiring example, that look at China. I mean, I was just talking to a colleague who showed me data that China, despite all political difficulties, has over 100 researchers and teachers teaching in their universities. So why should China do it? I mean, we are arch enemy. There is nothing. There are a lot of problems. If our teachers migrate to United States or Europe and elsewhere, that's a different story. But that's not something that we really should be aiming for. And today, unfortunately, if you look at the scorecard, it is the USAFE, the Fulbright programs, Fulbright Nehru program, British Council, exchange program. They are the only ones that are providing opportunities for our young and not so young teachers to travel abroad. So what we need is a more proactive and tailored strategies and an increasingly autonomous global landscape, which our universities, I have little experience of private universities. MIT is one place that inspires me, and so I'm here. But I believe that we have to go a long way in doing this. And also, if we have to realize that developed countries and their knowledge economies have their own vested interest in getting our scholars and highly skilled researchers because of their own compulsions, but that necessarily should not be our motive. Now, very quickly, you're going to raise some of the points here, but let me say that there are a lot of things that come to my mind. First is research collaboration. There are good stories also in India, Indian universities. I mean, I have myself done collaborative research with European Union, with all the FP7, and the process is still on. But this research collaboration is one sure way, and also in terms of the possibilities of building mutually enriching knowledge, foundations. And also, I think we should not fear from getting exposure to better practices. I mean, occasionally I have worked at Yale University, among others, in the United States, and their international office is something mind-boggling. The first time they have a specialist for each regions of the world, Southeast Asia, Far East, who speak their languages, and not only they promote student welcoming and going, but also spotting these scholars and bringing them here. And also, like, like on the flip side, let me say, and this is a point that should come in, as Professor Sancheti said, what is not happening in faculty internationalization. But let me quickly mention that a kind of inertia, a laziness, unwillingness on the part of our own faculty. I mean, most of the times, I mean, the executive head of Fulbright, Adam Grodsky, has been my student 30 years plus. He came to India on an American college fellowship. And he regrets that, despite what people think, there are not many good applications for Fulbright exchange programs. So this is something that we have to deal with, and other issues will come. But I would say we should be very prepared to learn from others. I mean, only day before I visited Pune University and Hyderabad, some at my own university and BHU and all. So, the best practices need to be discussed. If we need to develop this habit of networking among ourselves. Sometimes it's ironic to see that universities, private and public, in Pune itself, do not exchange grounds. So there's so many things that, but as I said, it's a long agenda, and I'm very happy and delighted that the CIPU and Professor Sancheti and all of the wonderful colleagues here, some of them I have met and known also earlier, they have taken up. And this is something that we need to discuss threadbare and come out with suggestions. They are practical. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Upadhyay, for once again adding to the nice views which we are sharing. You are very clear in saying that it has to be done in a very holistic manner, and there has to be tailored strategies based on the institutional preferences and clientele and so forth. I think research collaborations can be a mainstay for supporting some of them, but I think one of the very clear special point which you made was unwillingness on the part of the faculty. Comfort of home, ghar ka khana ya ghar ki chat, wo shayad people are very comfortable about that and they don't tend to move out. I think for their own good, for their students' good, and for their institutions' good, we need to coin something which will both lure them and push them into doing that. Both push and pull kind of strategies will be needed in India, so that, but once they understand the nitty-gritty of this, I'm sure they will be very much like any other, and they'll contribute more. So it's just getting the whole thing opened up nicely for them, and then we can encash on that. So thank you for sharing your views. It's time. I'll now request Professor N.J. Pawar Sahab, the Vice Chancellor from MIT, and he has been a stalwart of the higher education in India. Sir, we would like to know from you, what are your experiences and how have you seen this happening or not happening? Kindly unmute yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Sancheti, and I must appreciate the inputs which are given by Professor Sharma as well as Professor Upadhyay regarding the internationalization of faculty. I would like to share two glaring examples which I experienced in Pune University and subsequently in Dr. D.Y. Patil in Pune. Pune University attracts large number of faculty members from abroad every year in different subject specialities. There was also a scheme which was launched by the UGC a few years ago while I was in Pune University working as a professor and head. We used to take advantage of that particular scheme launched by the UGC to invite international faculty for teaching the particular subject from 6 weeks to 8 weeks. That was one of the best schemes, and I would like to recommend to this particular panel, or through this particular panel, that their scheme is a very nice scheme which can be further activated and we will have opportunity. Secondly, the Pune University has so many kinds of types with the universities abroad. And through that, a lot of faculty exchange takes place. Our faculty gets exposure to go abroad under a lot of scholarships like British Council, Commonwealth, GSPS, or even for that matter, your Fulbright, or even that, and n number of other. You can imagine these kinds of opportunities to the faculty, and they feel that that is something which is advantageous. We can take that as an example. While I'm working now in the university, which is a health science university, and I'm just trying to give you the example as to what we are doing in terms of providing exposure to our students from the health sciences stream in terms of attracting the talent from abroad in terms of faculty. We have very strong collaboration for last 10 years with Johns Hopkins Medical School, with our medical college. And we have a program, which is a web-based learning program under this collaboration. So teaching learning is one part of it, research is another part of it, and then student exchange is third part of it. So under this particular scheme, what we do every month, there's something which is known as a web-based learning program, which cuts across several institutions in India in the health sciences. And the professors from Johns Hopkins will share their experience on a particular topic of interest, which is already chosen. And therefore, that is something which is currently available as a mechanism for the students to get exposure of the international talent in some diversity of the subjects in health science. We have another program which I would like to also share as a success story. There's something which is known as a Linus Palme scheme, which is launched by the Swedish government. This particular scheme provides funding and also opportunity for Indian and the faculty from Sweden to spend 3 months, 6 weeks to 12 weeks in the respective universities. So what we have been doing for the last 7 to 8 years, within the given constraints, we are trying to provide opportunity to our faculty to go to Sweden and spend 3 months there. We are also inviting their faculty to come and spend time here. That is the mechanism which we have worked out. This is similar for the students also. Student from UG biotechnology will spend 6 months, that is 1 semester abroad, and credit exchange will take place. That is for the last 6-7 years we have been doing. For PG students, we allow them to spend 1 year abroad. That is, project work is done in the Swedish university, and we go for credit exchange. What we are now looking at is the provision which is made by NEP in terms of internationalization of education, and whether we can really go for joint degree, which is a dream which has not yet come true. Because in the UGC guidelines, it is said that the credit exchange, win program, everything will be possible, but the host university in India will award the degree. Why we should have these kinds of apprehensions? Because if students are getting benefit in terms of getting a joint degree, we should encourage that. So some of the barriers which are at home, will have to break them and come out openly like West, maybe Europe, maybe Japan, maybe US. And whether that kind of environment we can set right in terms of attracting the faculty from abroad is a very important aspect. Now, we have to look at one thing. Large number of universities are appearing now in the international ranking, whether it is Times or it is QS. Do we have anything to represent in terms of international faculty which has got a 5% weightage in QS, 2.5% weightage in Times Higher Education? We have to feel the number which is a very minimal, single digit number. And therefore, internationalization faculty is a must. It is required in tune with what is happening abroad. And that is what I would like to make appeal. My suggestion will be to revive the program which was launched by the UGC in the past. It has to get continued so that at least few faculty members from Indian universities will have opportunities to spend time, and also invite faculty from abroad under the same scheme, which is not having any kind of mechanism in place now. I think that those kinds of schemes are very good, and we should attract those kinds of faculty members from abroad. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pawar Sahab. Many different points, and especially of bilateral nature is what you said. And you also said that like your association with John Hopkins, which is a top-notch university for the medical things, is yielding good results, whether it's teaching, learning, or research, or students. Similarly with Sweden. By the way, India has possibly more than 100 bilateral MOUs through DST, and all of us should take advantage because each one of them would have some components of faculty exchange also. Unfortunately, many of them go a begging without being used, as was being said by Professor Upadhyaya also, that not many people are applying for those things and therefore they are becoming waste, though there are provisions for that. We should, of course, remove barriers for internationalization, and possibly this new document for teaching faculty, which has come from UGC, should have an element of internationalization. I hope CIPU will take note of that, and CIPU will possibly, based on the interaction we have today and otherwise, generate a note that how these barriers can be removed so that the faculty recruitment or appointment becomes more common and more useful. And obviously, there are indirect benefits which one draws from what you call the faculty internationalization. Those there are certain elements which probably need more discussion, but rankings and ratings and various things in which ways in which it helps us. So thank you so much for sharing your views. I'll now request Professor Manish Jain to share his views too. Manish ji, you're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sancheti sir, Pawar sir, Sharma sir, and Priyanka sir, presenting your views here. I think whatever we are talking all makes sense. But the primary difference which I see in Indian institutes and the institutions of repute abroad is the basic mindset how we operate. We do not have a full agenda of creating knowledge. I think knowledge creation is something which has to be top priority. Unfortunately, if you see any of the regulatory body, they say faculty will be counted if they are teaching two subjects. I think faculty should have their own freedom to choose tracks. Somebody who wants to do a research certainly needs full-time attention on research. If you want them to publish paper in ABDC A rank journal, it's not possible that they are correcting answer books and then parallelly doing some solid research. So probably the way a regulatory body is handling higher education, that also has to be looked upon. Second, I think uh, faculty may be hesitant to go out to different countries because the atmosphere what we have in India and the atmosphere which is very clearly outcome based at international universities, the ecosystem itself is very different. So there are ways and measures, the way they see how faculty output is coming, and here we are quite lenient. We all know that. So probably we have to see that, and we have to suitably award or reward faculty who are ready to take up these kind of challenges. So if we are able to do that, then probably lot many young research faculty will be ready to travel and take that stance. Host institutes, many times it has been seen, they do not consider faculty coming from southeast zone as very competent faculty, which may be wrong, but unfortunately that kind of mindset exists. So probably these are some of the things which we have to take as a challenge, and start creating, changing the mindset of our own organizations, where we start thinking internationally and globally, so that everyone who is part of ecosystem of our own organization start thinking that way. So this is my take on the challenges what we are facing, and probably if we are able to handle challenges, we have a lot of opportunities which are available.
Thank you, Professor Jain. You talked about the aspect of knowledge creation, which can directly be led by the faculty. Knowledge creation in very simple or crude terms can be research. Generation of new knowledge is nothing but research, and obviously faculty is core to it. Not only for that, I must add that for industry also, if there is a permanent bridge between industry and institution, faculty is the one. And therefore, faculty has to be multidimensional. Their mindset has to be different, as you were trying to say, mindset-wise. The atmosphere aspect obviously becomes a barrier. Very rightly said that here we are in the comfort zone. We know that there is some sort of a permanency or semi-permanency, even with ordinary performance, which will not be easily tolerated or accepted outside. And then, of course, a little bit of carrot and stick kind of a thing, awards you are making a mention. So yes, indeed, there are many things which are related to faculty. Faculty can be said to be the engines of this industry, if one will call education as an industry. And therefore, they should be well-oiled, well-geared, and well-functioning, in my opinion. And one of the aspects of functioning would be their internationalization. So, friends, we have discussed and brought about many special points which are there. I would like to now ask a little bit more deeper, if you want to take on that why is it not happening in India? If you'd like to develop on that aspect, that would be nice. And then later, in the last segment, I'll request you to share your recommendations for the same. And then we'll have Q&A. So once again, couple of minutes to each one of you. My request to you is, can you further elaborate, say, from your case studies and examples, why is it not happening effectively? Is it the dissemination of information? Is it that there is a favoritism which is there? Or is it that they are worried that they will lose promotions and positions and the facilities which they enjoy currently, that their headship will go, or, or maybe they will thrown out, or they lose the salary? I do not know. There can be, in my note, which I had circulated, possibly I had enumerated some 6-7 points there, but there can be much more, and there can be something different too. So I'll request once again, Professor P.V. Sharma Sahab, to kindly say that what do you think, why is it not happening?
That's a $64 million question, why it is not happening. But some clues, of course, I can provide. The first one, of course, is that we need to recognize that I stand for India, but it also stands for internationalization. And therefore, in our mindset, we need to now understand how this cause can be pursued. I once again give my own example. I was sent by Government of India a national scholar to do my master's and doctorate at Birmingham. Today, India can, rather than paying Indians to go abroad, today India can pay the bright young foreign students to come and do their master's and doctorate in India. Such like scholarships now we have to start. India is in a position to pay today because we are the fastest developing economy. We have a lot of buoyancy in our economic growth, and we are also building up great, in fact, industry system in our own country, and we are a great market also for tomorrow. Whole lot of MNCs are here. They are setting up their own offices and industries in India. So I think it's the right time where India has to think that India, as international, would provide scholarships to bright foreign students to come and join institutions, including IITs and NIT. You have to open first your best of the institutions under scholarship to attract the best of the brain from abroad, and also say that central universities and state universities, government will facilitate international scholarship for masters and doctorate. Once they come here and do their doctorate here, some of the bright ones would like to continue as postdoctoral fellows. Some of them would then be absorbed as faculty, because by that time we would have seen their interest. Some of them would settle in India also finally, and you will have a large quantum of people that way. The pile will be built up, but need to be bigger. As far as private universities are concerned, because this particular group discussion is for private universities, we need to now sensitize the government to think in terms of these foreign scholarships for masters and doctorate, even for private universities, where they can say, all right, 50-50. Government will pay 50%. You put 50% either from your pocket or from a collaborator. It could be industry and offer. This way, in fact, the critical mass could be built up. This is how the great universities of the world have built up. In fact, if you look at their genesis and look at their system, how they've grown to this eminence, you will find this is what they have. The same thing is being done in our next door neighbor, China, also in building up great universities and great ecosystem for research and development in their own country. Singapore could be one other finest example where within a short period of time, their universities could rise to great eminence by building up this nexus of international faculty and homegrown faculty together. So I think India needs to now come to this realization that the time is right and we must act now. Of course, it would mean more money for education budget. You have to go beyond what you are doing today. You need to also offset, in fact, some of the expenditure that you are making on institutions that are already 50, 60, 70-year-old, ask them to become self-sustained so that you are in a position to manage your funding, but create a critical mass to catalyze and support, in fact, the international scholarship, which will ultimately build up the faculty. But till that time, nothing stops Dr. Sancheti or me or Dr. Pawar or Upadhyay to attract, in fact, foreign faculty to join online for teaching, or join as adjunct faculty for research and development, or join as external expert in our R&D projects. So these are some of the ideas I thought this is how it could be made to happen. I thought I must stop at this point. I've already put something on the chat so that it remains in the chat. All right. Thank you so much indeed.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are seeing your ideas on the chats. I also started following your chat now. Appreciate what you shared. Lot is related to money, in the sense that government should put more money towards scholarship. And these scholarships can be the sowing of seeds for what you call having good international quality people attracted to Indian higher education system. And as you have said, they can progress from one stage to another, maybe UG to PG, PG to doctoral, postdoctoral, and then possibly faculty also. So maybe the philosophy can be catch them young. Don't wait that they are...
Permit me to just say for half a minute that somehow rather we ignored the value of PDF in India, even in the IITs, even in the best of the universities that we have, and we are paying a price for it. If we would have understood the importance of PDF for developing faculty competence, both for homegrown students as well as from abroad, things could have been very different today, but nothing is lost. Time is still right to repair the damage that has been done in the past.
Yeah, fully agreed, sir. The PDF is a hugely neglected aspect of Indian higher education system, even in the good institutions. So I think your philosophy, which you have enumerated, is catch them young, and that when they see the value in Indian higher education system, they become permanent and sticking to Indian system. And also, there's one point which got triggered in my mind that typically foreign students or foreign education or whatever, something like that, is seen to be a cash cow kind of a thing, that we get more money from that. Or if we put faculty, we lose more money. It's related to that aspect, positive and negative both. I think we should go out of that mindset. If we can improve upon that aspect, that we charge the same fee and we do something similar, but enhance the facilities and all that ecosystem, possibly both will improve in terms of presence of students as well as faculty. So fully agree with you on the money aspects, and scholarships obviously can come from what you call the National Research Foundation or ANRF now. And there is a huge money. Whatever money was allocated initially in the first 2 years or so, nothing much has been used. And obviously the education budget has to go further up in terms of the percentages. So we possibly will have those provisions for postdoctoral fellowships and scholarships to enhance our faculty's position.
A simple thing could be that in the faculty, we say 10% of the total faculty of your institution should comprise of PDF. And that way you offset your, after all, you are paying for the faculty. Let 10% be your postdoctoral fellowships. And they are the one whom you are trying, testing, in fact, to be inducted.
Very rightly said, sir. Thank you so much. I'll pose the same question to Professor Upadhyay once again, sir. Why do you think it's not happening? And if you so like, maybe your answers, that how it can be improved further.
Yeah, I'll just remain focused on the problematic, which I think is the problematic, that why it is not happening effectively.
Yeah.
Let me again refocus on the topic. It's not simply about our researchers going there for PDF, for doctorate and all. It's about bringing their scholars here and developing a more synergetical relationship between the two academies. Why this is not happening? Certainly, it is not happening because of many things. One point was mentioned in not passing seriously by Professor Manish, and it was the mindset. And I would extend it and say that if you look at the cultural, academic, and institutional difference, that is quite huge. I mean, I remember, I don't want to mention it, that long years back, we had a very interested team from Ohio State University coming to BHU, which is one of the most rewarded and reputed university. And they just on one point, they went back saying that, well, your restrooms and toilets, etc., all the facilities, hygiene is not up to the mark. This is 20 years back, 30 years back. So maybe that's not the situation. And I'm not just building on that. So that is infrastructural thing, but more important is cultural and institutional difference. Have we noticed that in foreign, and many of you have done your degrees from abroad, and I have done many others, they don't pick up students holding PhD degrees from Indian university, generally speaking, excepting probably IITs in social science, humanities, liberal arts. They have a feeling that the academic standards of Indian academia is not rigorous enough. That is one point that we have to reckon with very strongly. So we have to adopt to the global academic norms and culture also, like style of teaching. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, long years in university life, almost 4 decades plus, but we created a Center of Peace and Conflict Research, which got the UNESCO chair eventually 15 years back. We hosted over 25 professors from United States, North America, Canada, and other things. And we developed an art of providing academic culture also, because they teach in a different pedagogies. Teaching content is different, methods of delivery is different. When our teachers and professors would go there, they are still not used to the kind of classroom teaching that the Europeans or they are accustomed to. And I'm not saying we should only look towards the West. Even in Singapore, as was mentioned by Professor Sharma, and other places which have really broken the norms of excellence, this is the same thing. Second thing, and which we don't normally reckon with, the variations in English proficiency among faculty also hinders global collaboration and academic publishing also. This we have to reckon with it. I mean, it's quite true that in pure sciences and research and lab environment, it may not matter as much. But this is an issue that some of our best scholars, because they would like to have people from humanities also, Sanskrit, yoga, and other things, history. But the language issue also has to be kind of reckoned with. And of course, yeah. And of course, one thing which I mentioned, of course, is the lack of faculty's interest and resistance. I'll just add one point there. Many universities, public and private, I have seen, they create practically impossible for a young teacher to go abroad on a fellowship. I mean, like citing increasing workload, concern over other things. And one more thing before I end. There is also an ideological component which I quite subscribe to, and which is the threat of Western intellectual hegemony. Especially once you're past this science, technology, other subjects, there's a fear that if you bring too many of the Americans or North Americans, they will bring their own culture. But we have to realize that at one level we talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, so we should take them in open arms and have a dialogue and discussion. So much to say, but here I'll end.
Great, sir. Thank you so much. Very, very correctly said that we have those issues, what we call the cultural and infrastructural things, which will put people off and sometimes drive them away and may not take. I also remember when I was heading one institution, we had an airport nearby and an accident happened. Two Fulbrighters who had agreed to come to us said, "Oh, your airport is not safe and we are not coming there." Whereas in the 60 years of history, nothing had happened. It was a mistake of pilot only, which is proven. But such elements do impact us, and there is no doubt about it that the Indian PG and PhD programs are not necessarily reckoned with internationally. Why internationally? Within India also, we don't necessarily do that. Many of the IITs indirectly or directly, or top institutions indirectly, seek or require that at least one exposure of outside world should be there. Indirectly, I'm saying, and in fact, if you see the recruitments in some of these institutions, most of them will come from outside in terms of exposure. So those barriers are also there. And language proficiency, a degree varies from 0 to infinite. And hopefully AI will come to some rescue, maybe, that once you do the basic things, ideas, and write your own things, possibly it can improve upon something, make it more sensible. But hopefully it will not be used wrongly, AI. But yes, these challenges remain, and we should, if we are understanding them clearly, improve upon them. Certainly, I know issues of toilets and all that can be very, very difficult sometimes for those people. So thank you so much. I come to Professor Pawar now. Sir, your exposure, experience at DY Patil and other places, that why do you think it is not going to the extent to which it should go or can go? Sir, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sancheti, for giving me once again an opportunity. I was carefully listening to Professor Sharma as well as Professor Upadhyay. I would say that cultural, linguistic, hygienic, food, climate, let us keep these barriers for some time aside. They are constraints which we have to consider also. But at the same time, this particular issue of recruitment of faculty or internationalization of faculty from abroad requires open and proactive approach, which we are grossly lacking. That is what I would like to suggest. The reason being, how many universities, how many times government has supported us in this particular direction? Is there any advertisement issued by any public university or any private university in terms of recruitment of 10% international faculty, for example? I don't see anything at all. Secondly, I must appreciate one important scheme which is launched by the government of India, by Ministry of External Affairs. They have shown proactiveness in terms of attracting the students from abroad, study in India. It is a very good scheme. It is attracting students, though from African, Middle East and SAARC countries. It is a destination for these students to come to India and learn. Similarly, we'll have to also be equally proactive and open towards attracting the international faculty. I know that there are some kinds of opportunities given to PDF or PhDs, but they are within the SAARC countries. Can we expand the scope of these schemes to reach beyond these boundaries? If that also happens, it will help attract some of the like-minded faculty members to come and spend time. Today, this is happening, but on a very minuscule scale. Some of the universities, which I told the example of Pune University, I see a lot of international faculty coming and spending at least few months. They are open and they are ready to, accept the reality which is existing here. Now it has changed a lot, but I have seen during my student days in Pune University, as a faculty member in Pune University, a lot of people from abroad come and spend time for teaching as well as for research. I think these are the schemes which are on a minuscule, which are happening in few universities or few hotspots. How best we can learn from these successful stories and expand the scope to other universities. Certainly, we will be able to address this particular issue of attracting talent, which is a global talent, for the benefit of our own students. Our own students will learn how to get themselves acclimatize to the international culture, exposure to international culture, respecting the international language, respecting the international nationality and their culture. All those aspects will automatically be coming to us through these kinds of faculty members. And therefore, I think I would suggest that like study in India, teach in India also scheme has to be launched by the government. It will help attract large number of faculty members. That is what I would like.
Great. Thank you, sir. Very interesting. You said proactive approach. Yes, that's lacking. Sometimes we do it for sake of it or showing it off, but may not really mean. We probably are facing a lot of challenges in terms of recruitment, internal pressures to promotions and all that. And therefore, we deal with that and neglect the other positive aspect of people from outside. The little bit of less openness, you can say, is the lacking the proactive approach. What you said is that we have hardly issued any recruitment advertisements outside India to tell people that, hey, we want you to come here and do this, and we are this kind of a provider, service provider, whatever, opportunity provider, or something like that. It's lacking. But that reminded me, and that's a very positive point, but we never highlighted such points to the potential foreign faculty. In 2010, I was a part of Indian delegation to USA. We went to Brown University purely to recruit faculty. And therefore, when we went there, then we decided, and there are a lot of senior people, I'll not name them here, who have led the top universities of the country. We were together and we said, what should we say to the people that when we go there? And we worked on the Indian salary structure for teaching faculty. And applying the PPP, purchase power parity, we could prove to everyone that the Indian starting salaries were higher. I'm saying of 2010, I'm not necessarily saying right now. If you apply PPP, Indian salaries, starting salaries were higher, and especially when you're not taking into consideration the aspects of medical, because at a young age, medical may not be required much, and the pensionary benefits, which were not clear or cannot be clear. Without these two, we could prove that Indian salaries, starting salaries for a higher education system, especially after what you call the sixth pay commission at that time, were good. But we have never done this hard selling of that concept. We simply say, hey, what we give is what we give. You take UGC, you take sixth pay, seventh pay. The poor guys don't understand what does it mean to them. So I think we need to have a good proactive approach. And obviously, as was said by Professor Upadhyay also and others also, and you also, that respecting different cultures, celebrating their cultures, their days, maybe their language, their days, or something like that, can also make them gel fairly well. That also tells me one more thing. There is a scheme called DASA, Direct Admission of Students from Abroad. I was its chairman for some time. DASA. I think it's time that EDSIL or any government body or MHRD, MOE possibly should make a similar parallel scheme, DAFA. Possibly you can call it direct appointment of faculty from abroad. Something can start coming in. Something can be projected that India is open to that. Something can be understood as a model that what we should give and what they will gain out of that. So maybe we can push for something like that, so which can be a platform, which can be a model to be followed by all others. With that, I come to the Professor Jain. And after that, Professor Jain, after your views, we'll open the things for Q&A, which will be leaving us with around 15 minutes. So all those participants who are listening to us, who are keen on some Q&A points, please raise the points. If it is specific point to any specific panelist, please mention that so that they can answer. And if it is a generic one, any one of the panelists can take up and answer that question. We look forward to your participation to make it more lively and meaningful. So please be ready. But right now, Professor Jain, what do you think? Bangalore is a big hub for international students, one of the most suitable place for this thing, and especially with IT buzz around, this, and IT requires a lot of international expertise anyway, because of the employment reasons or whatever. Why do you think even Bangalore is not a big hub for internationalization?
I would again come back to the ecosystem. There are stakeholders. Let's talk about them. one is organization, second is faculty whom we expect to come from other countries, third is our own faculty whom we expect to go out, fourth is our students. Now, when we talk about knowledge creation, so let me talk about faculty coming from outside dealing with our students. Now, the kind of knowledge system they follow when they come here and teach and they give the assignments, the level of seriousness and the level of research which is required for our from our students has to be very high. Now, when that does not happen, the faculty who comes from other country, they feel that the level of education in country is not up to the mark, because the assignments which are coming from students do not have that kind of quality. Now, if you pressurize students, they stop taking interest because they are not habitual of submitting high level, high quality assignments. So that is the case of, if international faculty is coming and teaching also, they have to go through this. Second is, when Indian faculty go abroad, generally they're not funded with family also going out. Now, any of such assignment which is lesser than 6 months will not get us any result. And in such case, most of the family men would not want to be away from family for such a long time. Third, I think we also demand a lot of operational issue to be handled by our faculty when they go out, kind of reporting, what kind of money is being spent, why that was necessary. I mean, say that is there has to be a level of trust on faculty that they are going out and they must be genuinely, doing whatever is required for them to survive there. And the last one is, when we talk of international faculty coming here, I think we do not have a very clear system how to make payments to them. We always go back, talk to a lot of people. CAs have their own opinion. I don't think there is a clear guideline that, how do we handle these kind of situations. Now, our faculty, when they go out, I think we have to start giving a lot of respect to faculty who are into good research. We all know that, till CK Prahlad sir was here in India, he was not the CK Prahlad. He became CK Prahlad when he went out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think we again have to start, working on our mindset that people who are doing good research has to be suitably rewarded, not even in terms of money, but also in terms of respect, which they, command or they should get. So this is my stake that, we have these kind of challenges which we follow, I think.
Yeah, great. Very nice points to give in the end too. You once again touched your focus on the ecosystem, and particularly the seriousness of the recipient, the likely beneficiary. Why would we internationalize the faculty? So that the students get benefit, but students themselves lack the interest, or rather there is a distrust between the faculty and the students, and their tendency is to avoid the hard work or maybe do minimalistic work. Then obviously the faculty would not be satisfied. No one would be satisfied if they are coming out of their comfort zone, serving in India, trying to do something, and still not well received. I think that's a challenge. Maybe some sort of a faculty assignment could be an important element. I've also served outside, so I know when you miss your faculty family, what happens, how itchy you can be sometimes, and uncomfortable you can be on various aspects. Money, tax, and all that trust obviously is never there in Indian governmental system, at least. But private is also not much different. They also follow a similar set of guidelines, and every small penny is being, is scrutinized very heavily. So that also makes people feel a little uncomfortable. Why do I take so much of pain to, go out and justify every small thing which is there? And similarly, the payments, what you'll get. Fortunately, we have a small model right now in the country in form of South Asian University. which I was told some time back, which is located in Maidangadi, close to Maidangadi in Delhi. Some of you possibly would know. This is for SAARC countries, 7 SAARC countries which are there. And initially I was knowing that they possibly are getting dollar salaries, but today I know that they are dollar equivalent salaries, but Indian rupees. But one benefit they get is the taxation benefit. They are not subjected to tax. I'm not an expert on that. I'm not making a full comment on that. Take it with pinch of salt. But there are some models which are existing to have international faculty or maybe faculty of that nature, South Asian University, which is there. So maybe we got to learn something from all of them to make sure that we are benefited in terms of what you call internationalization of faculty. One last example I'll quote, and then with that we'll have the Q&A. And that last example is I was heading one of the universities, a large one, and there we created a model, what we call the research faculty. And the requirement was that most of them will have a PDF wherever, and based on the capability, they were recruited. Around 150 such faculty members were there, and they were given very high salary and a lot of autonomy and freedom from teaching, learning, but more on research. And the other faculty became little jealous of them that they are getting, when the others are getting 6th or 7th pay, they are getting 8th or 9th pay salary. Others became little jealous of that. So you understand that human to human competition and various other things also sometimes make or break the ecosystem. But there are models existing in the country where something can be done to promote a little bit of more of internationalization, because India has potential to cash on that. India has potential to be the superpower of that in terms of research, in terms of teaching, learning, but it'll all happen through the route of faculty. So with that, I would like to open the things for Q&A. Mr. Karthik, if you're there, can you please bring the questions to fore and ask or point it to any one of us? Karthik ji? Yeah.
Yes. There's a question from Dr. M.L. Gaur, Vice Chancellor of C.V. Raman University, Bihar. It's addressed to Dr. Sancheti. So the question is to you only.
Okay.
So looking into NEP 2020 and UGC policy draft 2025, faculty internationalization is not just about mobility, but about creating a knowledge sharing ecosystem that benefits all stakeholders. So how can we ensure that it addresses the broader goals of knowledge diplomacy? That's one question. For developing nations like India, the balancing brain drain and brain gain and fund constraints are going to be two big concerns. What key strategies can universities adopt targeting innovative solutions like flexible return pathways, collaborative research grants, and dual appointments?
Yeah. So, Professor God, you have yourself suggested many good points. I would say joint appointments, flexible pathways, and all that. When it comes to your second point, I would say that the money today possibly is not a big constraint. And especially when you think India is spending only 1.5 to 2% on the so-called their mind on education, which should reach 6%. Imagine if it reaches 6%, we'll flood it with money, and there'll not be many takers if it becomes 6% tomorrow. So money should not be a constraint. The money is to be invested, in my opinion, and investment will bear more fruits, and in some time we'll get the returns. It will not be immediately saying that I'm losing money. Similarly, I may not necessarily agree with the brain drain. I am a very vocal supporter for that knowledge shared is knowledge gained and multiplied, and which keeps coming back and forth. And therefore, if I go outside and I bring someone from outside, the gain and drain balance I would not do. I'll generally see that if it is shared, and if it is shared in diverse circumstances, knowledge will amplify and multiply, which is there. So that's the answer to second point, but point is very, very well made, Professor Gaur, and we'll take note of that. The first point you said that NEP and the new draft, whatever little I could read, I find that the faculty's internationalization has not come. I did good search in the document, literally a search to find out those points, what is covered in the new document, and I didn't find that whether they will recognize an international this thing, whether they'll favor amongst the equal if there is someone bringing more diversity. what might be the mechanisms to employ an international faculty. Yes, you are saying about industry, you are saying about professor of practice, you are saying about guest, visiting, adjunct, but internationalization of faculty is probably lacking right now. So hopefully you and me and all of us put together will give that feedback at different forums in writing and otherwise in meetings also, to make sure that even that aspect is getting covered. In that sense, our webinar is very timely, that we are focusing on an aspect which has been lacking in the document, in my opinion. So that's my answer. But other distinguished experts can also add some value to it if they like. Any one of you, sir. Okay, if not, we move on to the next question.
Next question, yes. From Dr. Zaved Ahmad Khan, is the Professor and Dean Internationalization and Digital Learning from Baba Farid Group of Institutions. Question is, how can we address bureaucratic stress faced by faculty who leave permanent jobs abroad to join Indian institutions where small purchases often require multiple approvals? Should improving administrative efficiency in central and state universities be a priority before inviting faculty from abroad? So it's not addressed to any specific panelist.
Yeah,
It's an open.
I'll probably request Professor Pawar or Professor P.B. Sharma. They might have handled a lot of such things in the government when they were there.
I can share you my personal experience. I have been in government for long, and I said I don't acknowledge any bureaucracy. As a principal of Delhi College of Engineering, I assumed all the powers on earth to facilitate my research faculty to complete their research projects in time, even before time, and ensure that they do not pass through any hurdle in purchase of equipment or any such thing. Similar is the case with Amity University, where I am here. Here also, we are ensuring that those who have research and development involvement, they face no bureaucratic hurdles whatsoever, either in terms of recruitment of the research staff or purchase of equipment or completing their research as per the objectives assigned. In fact, we are completing most of our projects here in Amity ahead of time and delivering the promise better than what we made in the written document that we submit, which means our outcome is better than what we promised. Now, it can be done. It all depends on the leadership. I have been Vice Chancellor for a very long time now. And I remember when I was Vice Chancellor of Delhi Technological University, I took a bold initiative in those days to start 50 PDFs in my university. There were no PDF in any university at that time, including the IIT. They said, how can you do it? I said, the universities have all the autonomy and freedom on earth to do what is possible in the interest of the system. And it is this kind of understanding of the leadership of the university, in my opinion, is required. I'm sure India must graduate to that time. Industries have already grown to that level. Why not the universities? If you can have the world-class industries in India to come and establish their businesses and their industries, why can't the university leadership think in that term? So it's all up to the vice chancellors of my country. And I and Sancheti both have been president of AIU. We want our vice chancellor to be taking all the power on earth in their own hand and run the show without falling prey to any bureaucratic hurdles of the kind that are there.
Very nicely said, sir. Fully echoing that. Request Professor Pawar if you would like to share something. If not, I'll add some more. Pawar sir, aap kuch kahenge?
Yes. Professor Sancheti, I could listen to the inputs given by Professor Sharma. I appreciate it because in government we have worked for quite a long time, more than 35 years.
Yeah.
Our experience tells that government system is not at all bad. What it requires is maintaining checks and balances. If you honestly, with total integrity, if you maintain these checks and balances, I think the roadmap is miles ahead. There's no problem at all. There's no problem. But if you create an error, there will be some kind of
you will be hanged. That's where the problem comes.
Yeah, so that is how it is. And therefore, I think these are systems through which we have to go. Respect the system, be honest to the system, be honest to the job, nothing wrong will go.
Yeah, very nicely said, sir. I'll also add small value to this for our question from Baba Farid University, distinguished faculty from there. I would say that what Professor Sharma was saying, Autonomy is what defines all those bureaucratic processes, that how you develop and how you process and use them. And it's all up to the vice chancellors or the boards or leadership to decide what they want to do, how they want to do, how they want to empower and administratively, financially, and whatever other things which are there. And for sure, autonomy is the one term which is very important. And let's understand, power can never be given, power has to be taken. So the vice chancellors and the deans and the directors and HODs will have to seek power and get those powers by themselves, rather than someone coming and telling them on platter that, hey, this is your power and you use it. They will not tend to do that. Okay, many vice chancellors do talk to me, and this is a government has said about autonomy, but they are not giving us autonomy. I asked them, would they come and serve you something called autonomy on a platter? It would not happen. You'll have to seize and become responsible. So bureaucracy can be tackled rather easily, as Pawar Sahab has said, if your mind is clear, not in a different direction. I'm not spelling it out more clearly here. And if your objectives are clear, processes are clear, I think bureaucracy can be taken care rather easily, in my opinion. Personally, I'll be very happy to share more examples, but not because of the time and other things here. So can we have one or two more questions, Karthik ji?
Even the IIT, we are the perfect example of utilization of autonomy. In fact, the directors of IITs, I remember, I was appointed in IIT without making an application, without any interview, and that too with 5 advance increment. Now, that kind of autonomy and power the directors or vice chancellors of IITs had. So really speaking, autonomy has a meaning. It does give you benefit, but the people in chair must be able to utilize that freedom and autonomy that they have. As
Yes.
there are calculated risk. Somebody may say, how the hell you have given 5 advance increment without asking me? I am a government such and such. But the director has to say, you have no role to play in the act of IIT, where all the power is with the director of the IIT, as simple as that. And utilize that power without bias, without favor. Then I think
Yes,
I will be with you.
But fortunately for private institutions, to which many of us belong to right now, this power is infinite. I see a bright young mind or a senior person, I can immediately write a letter of appointment without any problem. So I think that
I'm handling 111 projects. Can you imagine? 111 R&D projects worth 55 crores. And
very nice.
ensuring that not a single one is crying for any bureaucratic hurdle. Of course,
Very
the
nice.
account people may sometimes torture them, but nothing more than that. That's not a
Even that
bureaucratic
wouldn't be allowed for us. We can always streamline the processes. So I hope the
Professor
bureaucratic
Sancheti, Professor
challenges can be
Sancheti.
answered. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
can
sir,
I
please.
share one moment, one experience in the private also?
Sir, short one.
After
Yes, sir.
joining private university, Dr. D.Y. Patil with Dapit, I came out with a merit scholarship for top 10% students across all faculties. Without spending a single second, Honorable Chancellor sir approved it. That is the kind of autonomy, freedom that we have here also. But it has to be in a proper perspective. What kind of stakeholders are going to get benefit if it is a student immediately?
Yes, sir. So private institutions and universities bring efficiency, diversity, speed, and so many other things, less bureaucratic channels and all that can happen. So surely we should take advantage of that. Any more questions, Karthik ji?
Should we take one, maybe last question, sir? One question, maybe.
Yeah, please.
If you have, someone has any questions, maybe you can raise your hand and you can unmute yourself.
Okay, no problems. Professor Upadhyay, you have been outside India in terms of doing purchases and projects, and then within India and IIT system, and now whatever variety of thing. Anything you'd like to add to the last question?
No, I was almost mesmerized listening to two very distinguished and honorable vice chancellors who have served both ways in the government institutions, lead government institutions and private. And I was just thinking that all these concepts of autonomy, they're always relative. That is one, and they're a dynamic concept. So maybe what was there 10 years back in public institutions, for example, is not the situation now. And the interventions are not simply about finances and budget and all. And I also entirely agree that vice chancellors have a lot of integrity. If they have integrity, they have a lot of scope to have things going. I have seen it happening in India, and of course, abroad is a different picture that you have. In the lead institutions, the top Ivy institutions, I had the occasion of working, where there is no limit for the president's time frame. There is no limit for the. He's the fundraiser. I remember one time the U.S. ambassador, that is 25 years. I'm an old man, may not look like that. 25, 30 years back, the American ambassador, Weisner, was a good friend of mine. We worked together in a research consortium once. He came to my university and we had a very overwhelmingly powerful and dominant vice chancellor. And I was not sure of my grounds, whether I'm doing things right. And he asked him, I said, what do you do? He said, the job of a president is to just raise funds. And rest of it, we decentralize to the deans and all. So one thing which I'm trying to tell through this particular thing is that the decentralization of power, which is, I think, in some IITs I've seen in India, it's very remarkable. Don't know much about. And this explains the flourishment of knowledge, and the presidents or the vice chancellor just saying yes to that, or in this case, the founders and so on and so forth. Mind you, this is, to my mind, what little maybe I have jaundiced eyes, but this is changing now, at least in public universities now. So I will leave it there.
Okay, great. So, sir, thank you. I think all of us have expressed many important views, and I'm sure participants have taken note of things of their interest. There are a lot of good things. We make in India sometimes, I would say, very good policies, but our implementation generally lacks. And therefore, I'd like to conclude it by saying only one simple thing, which is always said in the respect of quality, and particularly internationalization, because we see that we are giving bonus to someone if we are sending them outside or doing something or increments or whatever. And therefore, we don't tend to implement it very, very easily. We have some inherent, you can say, thoughts which prohibit us from doing such active steps. And therefore, I'd like to conclude it by saying, in the case of faculty, that there are many schemes, there are many things, bilateral things, government avenues, even outside world is attracting our people for faculty improvement and so on and so forth. So we should make sure that we should do what we call say what you do what you say, prove it and improve it. So use all the avenues to make faculty internationalization a much more vibrant and happening thing, and bring more synergy, energy, and fun and happiness in the channel of what we call the important channel of faculty within the institutions of higher learning in India. With that, I would conclude from my side. Thank you to all the distinguished experts. I'll not name all of them now, for their nice and clear views, a great deal of learning for all of us. And once again, thank you to Karthik and thank you to CIPU for this opportunity, and hopefully this will be counted towards the new policies as and when we are able to give them some feedback to MOE. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Karthik, back to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to all our esteemed panelists, and thanks to all the participants for being being here today. So we look forward to driving these conversations forward and turning ideas into actionable outcomes through CIPU. Thank you so much, and look forward to your continued support and participation. Thank you.